And what? Wait. No, I mean, and new Intercontinental Champion, main event, Jey Uso. I did not think that would happen, but I'm very glad that it did. These are my assorted thoughts on the September 23rd, 2024 WWE RAW. Welcome to Silo Voice Wrestling on YouTube and the Silo Voice Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jason C. McLean. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and of course, ring that bell for notifications to get all my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, prediction videos, wrestling opinion pieces, WWE Premium Live Event reviews, and of course, assorted thoughts on SmackDown and Raw. Now, elephant in the room, if you do subscribe to this channel and you are following, you might have noticed that I haven't reviewed the last few, or haven't done assorted thoughts on the last few Raws and SmackDowns. It's not because I didn't like them. They were actually quite good. Some really good stuff happened. Thing is, I've been changing my my day job. Yeah, this currently unmonetized YouTube channel is not how I pay the bills, but that's all sorted, so I'm back. There is a slight change. Well, it's actually, I'm going to go back to what I had originally intended to do with Assorted Thoughts videos. These are not reviews. I do full reviews of PLEs with rankings now and everything, but no, this is not move-by-move descriptions, even if the matches are out of order and I'm sticking to themes. I don't obviously necessarily cover anything. This is just assorted thoughts. If you want actually to see what happened, you could watch the event, or there's plenty of other review videos, full-on review videos on YouTube that aren't even that long. But no, I'm going to keep to my original plan and bring it back to that, even though I was never there, is assorted thoughts. Just sort of random thoughts, my opinions on some of the main things that happened. So starting with this Raw, first I'll let you know I'm recording this on the evening of the 25th of September 2024. So Raw was 2 nights ago. And of course, the main thing I'm going to talk about is main event Jey Uso winning the Intercontinental Championship. That really earnest backstage bit with Sami Zayn hyping up Jey had me worried that they were setting us up for failure. It was very wholesome. It was inspiring how Sami wanted his friend to go out and win that title that he had held so dearly. And it was just one more reason why I was like, okay, they're not going to take the title away from Braun Breaker on his second defense, especially considering the first defense was against the guy he had beaten, who happened to be Sami Zayn, worlds colliding. Anyways, I thought they were just setting us up for failure. It was going to make it all that more heartbreaking when Jey lost. Also, little sidebar, in getting the images ready for this video, I can't believe I didn't really realize that Jey Uso has a solid beard. I'm a beard guy. I got a nice beard. Sami, of course, has an amazing beard, but even next to Sami, Jey's beard doesn't look too bad. Anyways, moving on. For the most part, the match itself went the way I expected it to. Braun took an early lead. Jey made a comeback. Both of them looked great. Really good match, actually. But then when Braun did the push-ups instead of pinning Jey, he's acting too cocky. He had said earlier in the night he was going to be champion forever or something like that. I thought, okay, maybe there's a chance Jey's going to win. And then he had that hope spot at the end, almost at the end. Uso splash, 1, 2, kick out at the last minute. I'm like, okay, no, it's going to go the way we all thought. Jey might get the lead back, but maybe the new bloodline's going to interfere. Something's going to happen. At that point, I was like, yeah, it's the way I thought it was going to be. But then Jey ended up making another comeback, super kick instead of the run around the ring spear through the barricade. Eventually, 1, 2, 3. Wow. Jey Uso celebrating in the crowd. This Ontario, California crowd was really hot. First, sidebar. As a Canadian, I find the fact that there's an Ontario in California a little bit odd. I know this is the second time I've seen a WWE show from there, but still, I know where Ontario is. I'm familiar with it. I know where California is. I'm familiar with it. Those two things should not be in the same place, but yet they are. Still, great crowd, really hot crowd. Perfect place for this to happen. Of course, Jey's over everywhere, which is why it makes total sense that he would actually be able to hold the singles championship, at least for a bit of time. I mean, he is main event Jey Uso, now a single star, one of the most over single stars in the whole company, in the whole industry, but yet he's never held a singles championship. So this makes total sense, and I'm glad for him. I don't think this hurts Braun Breaker. I think the one thing that I guess myself and a lot of other people have forgotten about is the fact that this whole champions holding championships for a long time is only a recent thing in WWE. Like, we have the Roman Reigns for a few years. We have Gunther for 666 days because Triple H likes metal. I don't know. And yeah, I mean, Cody has held this belt for a while. Bayley held it to SummerSlam. Sami held this to SummerSlam. The tag titles change a little bit quicker, except for when it was the Usos, but it's not bad for Braun Breaker that he just got on the main roster this year. He's already been Intercontinental Champion, defended it once, and he loses it. I think he might win it back relatively soon, or somebody else. He might go for a different title or somebody. I don't think Jey Uso is going to keep it for that long because unless maybe Sami wins the world title, it's a whole other story. Then the two of them join up with Roman for War Games. But I don't think he's going to keep it for that long. I think he might get a bigger title a little bit later. I might be wrong, but I didn't even think he was going to win it tonight. But I'm glad he did, and I think this is actually perfect because it really justifies the name Main Event Jey Uso. I'm glad for him, and I'm glad that those people in that crowd got what they wanted. As a huge Sami Zayn fan, I'm a little bittersweet that he's not he was the Intercontinental Champion, but he's already had that a few times. I think Sami going for the world title is the next thing I'm going to focus on. So yeah, good job, Triple H. You got me. You really got me. I didn't think that was going to happen, but I'm glad that I did. And Rhea Ripley was also very happy. You see her. There's a social media video of her cheering on yeeting Jey Uso. So yeet to this story. Now let's move on to another big story with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. I loved Liv and Dirty Dominic Mysterio arriving in a lowrider. It's a shame he never showed up in a lowrider with Rhea Ripley because they were doing the whole Eddie Guerrero and China thing with Rhea and Dom, and with Liv Morgan, it's a whole different story. She's the one that maybe Eddie cheated on China with. I don't know. It was still a really good heel move to arrive to this hot crowd. Got tons of boos. I also love how Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed were just sort of like fighting through it. Didn't really affect it. It seems like they're almost letting them fight. More on that later. Anyways, the segment in the ring was great. Once again, excellent heel work from Liv and Dom with the crowd. Rhea, of course, on point. Mommy's still really over. Great promo. I love how she headbutted Liv at the end. That actually looked real rough on Liv, that headbutt. But of course, the big takeaway from this is the fact that Dominic Mysterio is going to be above the ring in a shark cage for their match at Bad Blood. I mean, it's almost like the Custody of Dom ladder match. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in the shark cage in WWE the times I've been watching. So this is interesting. I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure somehow someone's going to try and get him out. I think it's just great. And I love the reactions. They didn't focus too much on this storyline tonight, but they've been focusing a lot on it recently. This was just the right amount. And I'm now even more excited for that match. It's going to be really fun to watch. Sami Zayn versus Ludwig Kaiser was a solid match. Now, I've really liked how they've been using Kaiser lately, especially since a while ago when they kicked Giovanni Vinci out of Imperium. Before that, it was Vinci and Kaiser were basically the Stooges who were going to lose to whatever singles competitor Gunther was going to face next and ultimately beat and retain his Intercontinental title. But since then, they've actually been using Kaiser on his own, building him a little bit. I mean, he had a match against LA Knight for the US Championship. And this match here against Sami almost seemed like it was going back to where he was the Stooge, but not really. It had that vibe a bit, but not completely. Because it was a really solid match, and he had a solid match against the likes of Sami Zayn, just as he had one against the likes of Randy Orton. Both of those people Randy went on to lose to Gunther. I'm hoping Sami beats Gunther, but it's a whole other story. But still, I think Kaiser looked very strong in this match, and Sami looked very strong. And if it doesn't work out with Gunther, I could even see maybe a feud between Sami Zayn and Ludwig Kaiser. If this match was any indication, that could actually be a pretty good feud. But on this night, it served its purpose. But of course, the big focus will be on what happened when Gunther came out after the match. And when he came out in the full ring gear, I thought that maybe he was going to actually go through and fight Sami and beat Sami after Sami had already been through another match, kind of like a reverse Money in the Bank thing or something like that. But I predicted it just 2 seconds before he actually said it. I was like, no, he came out in full ring gear with the belt just to do a total troll move and say no again. Honestly, I love Sami Zayn. I want him to win the World Heavyweight Championship. But Gunther is an A1 heel troll at this point, almost like giving Drew McIntyre a run for his money. This was hilarious. This was really well done. And the New Day lost to the Creed brothers, representing American Made. Yes, the referee clearly missed a legitimate hot tag to Xavier Woods that might have given New Day the win. Also, Chad Gable did distract the ref, leading to some interference. You could say the New Day were robbed. You could also say this version of American Made, the Creed and Chad Gable and Ivy Nile, with their matching outfits, is becoming a really good heel combo now that they're done with the Wyatts. But the real purpose of this match was to further the much-teased breakup of the New Day. And in fact, it wasn't the biggest thing that did it. It was the backstage segments. Both the funny ones before the match and the serious one after the match paint a picture of a team trying to keep it together, or rather Kofi Kingston trying to keep it together, letting Xavier Woods lead. But what does he do? He goes and basically pretty much turns heel, gets angry at Rey Mysterio, of all people, for what happened last week. He's definitely the one that feels slighted because he never had a singles championship. Now, obviously, this might be leading to a singles match between Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. I wouldn't mind seeing that, but I kind of hope that at the last minute, this doesn't lead to a breakup. It leads to a reinforcement. Maybe Big E comes back, obviously not doing anything physical, but makes them go together, and or maybe there's a temporary breakup and they get back together. I don't know. Maybe it's just going to be a breakup. I mean, that's what they're hinting at. But I'm definitely way more interested in the New Day than I was a few months ago. I respect them. I like them. I know they're great, but I really hadn't been that interested in what they were doing until this started happening. So maybe by almost breaking up and then getting back together, this makes them more over or back to where they were. Who knows? I guess we'll see. Damage Control versus the Unholy Union was a decent match. It wasn't the barn burner from last week between Io Sky and Bianca Belair. That was incredible. Yes, even though I haven't been doing these videos, I have been watching Raw and SmackDown. And that was a great match. This was decent. It's good that Unholy Union are being used again and not just as they just disappear after losing the tag titles in that one rematch. But still, I think they're maybe going Damage Control against Bianca and Jade, which could be interesting. I could theoretically, even though I'm pretty sure Bianca and Jade are going to keep the tag titles, I could see a scenario where Damage Control actually take them back. So at least that gives some meaning to the match, and that gives some meaning to the women's tag team titles. And it's really good to see the current version of Damage Control still sticking to it, even though it'd be much better if they had Dakota Kai and of course Asuka. Hopefully they'll be back soon. But I think the women's division on Raw has gotten a little bit better in the past few weeks, aside from the, of course, main event picture with Rhea and Liv. Drew McIntyre responded to CM Punk with the same level of seriousness CM Punk had last week. Of course, a bit more bitter because he's Drew. The crowd did what chant at one point, at least some of them. Now, I thought this feud was beyond the what chants, but I guess for the heel in the feud to get it, made sense. CM Punk chants, I think, would have been better, and Drew got some of those as well, too. I did like Punk's promo better last week, but of course, I think I was supposed to like Punk's promo better. He is the babyface in this, and Drew wasn't the trolling guy. He's being serious. So this is still the hottest feud of the year in the company. I don't know if this promo was a standout part of it. In fact, it wasn't. Punk's promo might have been, but still, it's got me even more excited for their match at Bad Blood. And Dragon Lee got a victory over Carlito, or the LWO got a victory over the Judgment Day. I'm still not into this LWO Judgment Day feud overall at this point, but I'm glad Dragon Lee got the win. Just a few final notes. I know it wasn't a big part of the show, but they're continuing the whole Sheamus making the audience call Pete Dunne Butch. We had a little graphic of doesn't like being called Butch. That feud's continuing. Might get a PLE match out of it. Those guys can go banger after banger. Anyways, but what I really like is the fact that they've turned basically the audience's dislike of a bad gimmick name in Butch into a storyline Pete Dunne disliking a bad gimmick name and blaming it on Sheamus. I think that's great. Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman. This wasn't the biggest week for their feud, but I like the fact they set up a last monster standing match. That's great branding. I also like the fact that they just sort of crashed by Dom and Liv at the very beginning. I think I'd mentioned that earlier. And it's almost like, yes, there's security, but it's almost like they're just like, they've been fighting this whole week. Like they were fighting on the plane, they were fighting in the hotels, and now they're still fighting at the arena. I think ultimately they're going to go with Bronson Reed versus Seth Rollins when he gets back. But this is a very good feud for now. Nice big man feud. Another thing, Adam Pearce, it's been a wild night. It was a wild night for him, looking all haggard. I like the follow-up bit with Dom and Liv backstage, where Dom, I think, repeated his line like he can't go back to prison, referred to Pearce as Mr. Potato Head. Really good bits. And one other thing, I didn't get a chance to say this because I didn't do videos for the past couple of weeks, but I'm really liking Joe Tessitore. The first week, he was a little bit easing into it, but I could see there was potential there. And he had some really good calls. He sounded really passionate, really serious. His call of the Jey Uso victory at the end of that whole match was excellent. I mean, I guess Michael Cole is what we're all used to, but it's very possible that maybe Michael Cole is retiring and maybe they're grooming Tessitore as a potential new voice of WWE. If that happens in a few years, at this point, I'd be happy with it. He's not my favorite announcer, but he's really doing a good job on Raw. And these were my assorted thoughts on the September 23rd, 2024 WWE RAW. Do you agree with me? Is there anything you think I should have mentioned but didn't? Do you like this new format, which was my original idea for the format anyways? Let me know in the comments. Follow at Silo Voice Wrestling on Instagram and Facebook, at Silo Wrestling on X, and me at Jason C. McLean. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and of course, ring that bell for notifications. And yes, I am aware that they re-aired the epic bit of cinema with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns from SmackDown. I'm going to try and get a video out just about that, but if for some reason I don't, just know that I loved it. And of course, I'm going to be back with a assorted thoughts on this Friday's SmackDown. For Silo Voice Studios in Montreal, I'm Jason C. McLean.